Ida B. Wells was born into slavery in 1862. By the time she was 16, both of her parents had died, leaving her to care for her siblings. But instead of surrendering to the hardship, she became a teacher, then a journalist, using words to expose the horrors of racial violence.
Standing here, I'm reminded of her strength, despite having the odds stacked against her. It makes me wonder how I can carry on her legacy.
Her fight was not just her own. Decades later, civil rights leaders like Medgar Evers would follow her path and pay the ultimate price for it. The South had a secret that Ida refused to ignore. Lynchings were not about justice, they were a tool of terror meant to keep Black Americans in fear. Decades after Ida's anti-lynching campaign, 14-year-old Emmett Till was murdered in Mississippi. His death shocked the world, but it was the same horror Ida had been documenting since the 1890s. Ida risked her life to tell these type of stories. She published names, details, and evidence. For all of that, she was exiled from Memphis, forced to flee for telling the truth.
I stand here on Beale Street where Black culture thrived and resisted. Even in exile, Ida's voice could still be heard through Memphis. Her story reminds me that resistance can happen anywhere, even in the most unlikely of places.
Although Ida never lived to see the civil rights movement of the 1960s, her work made it possible. The marches, the sit-ins, the fight for justice. She laid the foundation by helping to create what would become the NAACP. Ida's anti-lynching work and activism made it possible for the civil rights movement that would pick up momentum decades later. Her focus on racial violence and voter rights created the groundwork and foundation for future leaders like Martin Luther King Jr.
Here in Memphis, it's clear how far society has come. But standing in front of Graceland, it makes me think about all the stories that remain untold, the voices that shaped this moment that still are often forgotten.
Ida's greatest weapon was her pen. She knew that using widespread media meant controlling the story, which meant controlling history itself.
In 1909, she co-founded the NAACP. Famous civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. would follow in her footsteps to carry forward the organization she started. Today, that organization still fights for justice and still carries forward her mission. Ida recognized the power and influence of media and the importance of shaping the narrative. This is why she chose to expose lynching and racism in the South through her journals. She knew that it could reach more people and that it would become a mass media if she published them. In our world today, her tactics remain relevant as we continue to see the growth of social media.
She sort of brought this intersectionality to like a women's movement specifically. That's what we talk about in this room too. It's just that it was a lot of white women organizing, but sort of keeping the Black women separate to organize. And Ida B. Wells was big on, no, we have to do this together. This is an integrated movement. While the white women were sort of saying, like, we need to play by the rules. We need to keep things in pocket.
History is a collection of stories. Some get remembered, others get erased. The South is filled with nostalgia, but whose past are we preserving?
As I walk through Dollywood, I see a celebration of Southern culture. But it makes me wonder, whose stories are left out? The ones that are so important because they fought for the freedom for us to be here.
And yet, through it all, the land remains. Generations have walked these paths, enslaved people, free men and women, civil rights leaders. The question is, what do we do with the path they've already left for us?
Standing here in the Great Smoky Mountains in Cades Cove, it's astounding to realize that generations have walked this before me. People like Ida B. Wells fought for a path of freedom, and it's our job to carry that forward.
It is up to us to stop being bystanders to casual discrimination, even when no one else is speaking up. The way to right wrongs is to shed a light upon them.